All right, we are about to get into our clear instruction. And remember, we always want to make our instruction clear so that students can do the math. What might clear instruction look like for this module focused on counting and cardinality? Well, here is a written out example. It is an example. It may not even be an exemplar, but the idea here is to show you what it might look like to first construct a plan. So some of the key ideas I'd like you to think about here are: what standards are you focused on? What vocabulary is important? What representations might you use? And what's your strategy or strategies that you're going to emphasize? Then we get to the L of the CLEAR model. Here you can see this is a dialogue between a teacher and a group of students. And this dialogue is very vocabulary rich. This dialogue also may use representations, but it's a step-by-step model of how we could learn to count. And it's sometimes quite long. You can see that this isn't going to just be 4 things that I say to students and they're woohoo, magically counters. No, that's not how this works. But here we have to break this down into a step-by-step process to help students with their counting. But it is a dialogue, all right? That's one of the things we want you to notice here in this example. Then we get to the E. This is where students are going to engage in practice. So here I'd like you to write out, well, what does that engage in practice look like? Remember, this engage in practice should be guided practice, where a teacher and a group of students are working on counting and cardinality together. So this is going to be very heavily involving the students and making sure that they're counting alongside you. Then we get to the apply independently. So what are some of the ways you're going to ask students to independently count? And then finally, we get to the refine with data. What is some of the information you are going to collect from students to ensure that they are counting easily and accurately? So you might only ask students to count to 5 or 10 or 20 or 120, whatever your benchmark is. How are you going to make sure that students are on track to meet that benchmark? Now that was a review of a clear example. I got to get out of the way here so you can get to this activity 3. Here in this activity, you are going to help think about what does your clear instruction look like if you are helping students learn how to count and think about that cardinality. Take your time with this activity. This should not be a 5-minute activity. I would expect if I was writing all of this out, this might take me 15, 30, 45 minutes. So you take your time and I'll be here when you get back.